Mata. I am the founder of Bruja Power Botanica, Bruja Curandera by lineage and initiated shaman. I don't know where you are in the world. I'm assuming everywhere, because it has gotten to the point where witches are global, and it's beautiful that we get to connect with each other no matter where you are. My background is in brujeria and curanderismo. Brujeria is the equivalent to witchcraft, but in the Mexican tradition. And it is combined with certain practices that our ancestors had to implement or adopt in order to survive colonization. You're going to see that in the brujeria tradition, we have a lot of things that stem from the African tradition, that same from the Jew tradition, that same from the Spanish tradition, from the British tradition. There is a little bit of everything. And that was done not from a cultural appropriation perspective, but at that point in time, we had to do it for survival. Right now, at least myself, I consider that brujeria is not a closed practice. There is some teachers out there that may think that it is, but I don't think it's a closed practice because we borrow from everyone. And it is kind of time to go and share to the world those traditions in a way that are respect and that we also respect everybody else. And today I'm very excited to be talking to you about Imbolc, and I'm going to talk about Imbolc, but with a little bit of a twist. So it's going to be, yes, a little bit of the traditional celebrations on Imbolc, but also it's going to have some connotations on the way that shamanic practices celebrate Imbolc, and as well as brujeria practices celebrate the season. So I'm going to grab my screen really quick, and I can see the chat here. So feel free to bring your questions to New Mexico. Hi, New Mexico. Bring your questions to the chat, or raise your hand, or we're a small intimate group. So that allows us also to have a good time for questions and answers. So let me see, share screen. If you will give me permission to share the screen so that we can.
Yeah. How do where are we going?
I feel like I gotta go get my daughter just like sitting in my lap too. You don't feel alone.
Okay. How do I think I'm gonna make you the host, or
okay,
allowed to
like host or co-host, that she'll probably let me.
I'm gonna say, here we go. If I make you the host, it means you've got to keep an eye on the old waiting.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah,
okay,
okay,
don't worry.
Awesome. There you go.
I got it. Don't worry about it. Okay, so let's do this. Okay. Just not really like right there where you are. Let me know if you can see my screen now. Good. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. So in our tradition, the way that we live life, and that I also invite you to live life, at least for today, within the next 45 minutes, it's based on the cycles of the earth. And the witch's way celebrates 8 different cycles. In shamanism, Mayan shamanism, which I practice, we celebrate 4 cycles, which are the equinoxes and the solstices. And then in the time of my life, I started kind of being curious about other practices like Wicca tradition and British witchcraft and Spanish witchcraft and on some other witchcrafts. And at this point, the way that I practice magic, it's kind of combined. But there is really not an Imbolc celebration per se on the Mexican tradition, but there is a midwinter celebration. So for me, it's like kind of like the exact same thing, except that it doesn't have a name. It's just a midwinter tradition. We also have different beliefs for each of the seasons. So the way that I am going to approach the class today is going to be based on that belief in the fact that each season has a different energy. So I invite you to have an open mind and open heart and see how this feels for you. And if it doesn't feel like it's the right thing for you, it's okay. Please question me, say something. I always invite people to really question everything that I'm saying, because that's the way that we grow, right? As teachers, as students, as members of the community of magic, the way that we grow is by questioning each other and also listening to each other. So let's do this. The Fires of Imbolc. And I'm going to move this here so that I can see you. Okay, so what we're going to talk about today is what Imbolc means generally. And I heard that Luisa say that this is the last class for Imbolc celebrations, which means that you at this point already know what it means and know a little bit about its energies and its correspondences. But we're going to tap into that a little deeper. And then we're going to go into seeing how the Mayan tradition, the Brujeria tradition, the Latin American practices see Imbolc. We're also going to talk about what is called system-based magic, which is what we practice. We're going to talk about how to awaken the inner fire and what that means. And then I'm going to walk you through a super quick, very effective spell for using fire for release.
So excited about this.
What did you say?
I'm so excited about this.
Oh, yay, good. Thank you. Me too. I am very excited. So my name is Wendy Mata. I already introduced myself, but just really quickly, I own a botanica. So a botanica is the equivalent to an apothecary or English is my second language, so bear with me here. It's a witchy shop. I have a witchy shop that is made. I do handcrafted spiritual candles, oil, baths, and I also do training. One of my favorite things to do is actually training and just really sharing the wisdom that was given to me by my family. I'm a 5th generation witch. We trace up to 500 years of lineage, but we kind of believe that it's been for a really long time. I was trained by my aunt and my grandmother, as well as many other teachers around the world. One of the things that I studied is feng shui in Malaysia with Lillian too. I also studied the Toltec tradition with some teachers in Mexico, as well as my grandmother, and then coaching and a bunch of other things. I was in the corporate world for 20 years. I retired 2 years ago today. So today is actually my celebration of freedom. And I'm very happy to be here talking to you. I retired from the corporate world 2 years ago, January 29, 2021. That's the day that was my last day on my job, and I move on to be a witch full time. And I gotta say that if you ever have the call to be a witch full time, I invite you to entertain the possibility of saying yes. Prepare, of course, have a plan, have savings, do the logical things, but also trust that your ancestors are gonna guide you in the journey, because it's the best thing that I ever did in my life. And it was 20 years and I had a really good job. I was a senior director of operations in cybersecurity. But it's just when the call comes and you have to say yes. And Luisa, I don't know your journey, but I'm pretty sure that you know that if Spirit says this is what you got to do, this is what.
Oh, yeah. You got to listen to our call.
Right. You can't say no. Like, it's just like, it's very insistent. I'm a mom, so you can see my daughter in the picture, which if she comes to the room, I'm sorry, but she kind of likes to interfere because our children are like that. They like to come and say what they have to say. And I'm a world traveler. I've been all over the world because I believe that every time that we go somewhere in the world, we change our frequency, we change our spirit, and we change our vibration. So I invite you that if you haven't yet traveled the world, that you also give yourself permission to do that and explore. Or even if it's just outside of your city, go visit other places and see other places so that you can have those empowering activations that happen when we see the world. Okay, so I know that we want to talk about Imbolc, but let's do something really quick here before we go deeper. Let's just come to our body. It's 2:30 p.m. over here where I am, maybe 7:30 p.m. for you, maybe 3:30, maybe 7:30, who knows what time is it. But maybe you had a long day, or maybe you have a lazy day, or maybe you are feeling anxious or afraid of tomorrow, who knows? So I just want to invite you to take a minute before we continue, and that you come into your body, into your heart, into your mind, and that you check how you feel before we go any further. That you check how you feel. Nice. And just let me know in the comments. Gives us the opportunity to witness how you feel today. whatever that is, excited, happy, afraid, bored, sleepy, whatever that is, we honor it all.
I
Just
can
let me
answer
know.
for Levi. Levi's feeling fidgety.
Okay.
And I'm feeling quite very calm and relaxed.
Good. Anybody else? And when you're watching these recording, for the ones that are recorded, for the ones that are watching these recorded, I invite you to still have this awareness, even if you don't get to have somebody to witness it with you live. I still invite you to have this awareness. And I think I see some of the chat comments here. Worried, tired, but calm. Okay, thank you. I honor you all. Thank you. And then a little quick mantra, just to kind of like open the path for the wisdom that we're about to receive. I like to say this mantra pretty much every day if I can. And I gift it to you today if it feels right for you and if it does anything for your magic and for your connection with spirit. I also invite you to take it as a practice, daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, whatever that is, but at least just to take an extra step to recognize our magic and recognize our power. And what the mantra says, and I invite you to say it out loud if you can, where you are, or just simply into your mind and into your soul. I give myself permission to reclaim my power. I give myself permission to awaken my magic. It is time. I am ready, and it is safe to do so. One more time. I give myself permission to reclaim my power. I give myself permission to awaken my magic. It is time. I am ready, and it is safe to do so. Good. One last time. I give myself permission to reclaim my power. I give myself permission to awaken my magic. It is time. I am ready, and it is safe to do so. Thank you. And take it for you. If it serves you in any way, please use this practice for you. Okay, so let's talk about Imbolc. I'm gonna bring this over here. So at this point, as I say before, this is your last class on Imbolc practices. So you may already be familiarized with the meaning of the energies, but I'm just gonna do a quick summary here for you today. Some of the main energies of this season, of this cycle, of this time in Earth are purification. So this is a very good time for you to cleanse your body, to cleanse your mind, to cleanse your spirit. It is definitely a great time for space clearing, not just the energetic level, but it's also a good time to make space for the new. It is a time for renewal too, so make space for all the things that you're welcoming in your life. If you want to manifest abundance, then go and clean the space of your house just so that you can bring more abundance. If you want to manifest love, then go cleanse with the purpose of releasing what no longer serves you so that you can bring love. If you want to manifest joy, then do the same thing. This is a great time to cleanse your space and let go what you don't need. This is also a very good time for inspiration. This is the time where you sit down and write your book. This is the time where you create your ideas and put them on paper. This is the time where you bring your plans into a system. So you want to like take the time to write and put together all the information of what is to come for the rest of the year. This is also a time to renew your processes, your systems, your ideas, your energies. This is a good time to let go, and this is a good time to reset. So you purify your space, you purify your auric field, you purify your mind, you purify yourself, and then you bring different energies that you're going to be using to fill the spaces that you empty it. And when we are cleansing, we do it with intention. I cleanse you so that I can bring this. And that's kind of like part of the renewal. This is also a very good time for fertility, and I'm always a little scared of the word fertility because I love my daughter, but one is fine. I don't want more. I'm good, so I'm always very careful when I'm talking about fertility. But also, it's very important to recognize that fertility is not just babies. Fertility is also creating new things. It's also planting the seeds of ideas. It's also planting the seeds of emotions, of dreams, of plans or systems. So Imbolc, and between, I think you can start doing this between January 31st or even now, all the way to maybe February 5th. This is a good time for these type of spells, these types of altars, or these types of rituals. Anything that has to do with creation. Anything that birthing something, birthing an idea, birthing an energy, bringing something to fruition. So again, just to recap, purification, inspiration and creativity, renewal, and fertility. And let me know in the chat if you have any questions. And then at this point, you may have heard before, or you may have heard too, that we have certain botanicals, certain crystals, certain deities, certain colors that are the allies of the season. In the case of Imbolc, some of the allies are frankincense, myrrh, cinnamon, basil, angelica, blackberry, wormwood, daffodil, amethyst, blowstone, garnet, ruby, turquoise. In my tradition, which is what I celebrate, the elemental for the season is water. In some other witchcraft traditions, the elemental for the season may be earth or maybe air. Some of the colors for this time are white, orange, pink, red, yellow, green, apparently another pink, and brown. This is a good time for using all the allies that you can see in this light as your aids for whatever rituals or spells or creations that you may have for this time of the year. And I think in brujeria, in my tradition, one of the things that it's our fastest, easiest ways to create a spell is through anointing oils. We love making oils. We have an oil for everything. And a way of using oils for Imbolc will be to create an oil that perhaps is going to have some basil, that perhaps is going to have some rosemary, that perhaps is going to have some cinnamon, that maybe you're going to add some garnet to the oil, or maybe you're going to put it in a red or yellow or green container. Basically what you do, which at this point I'm sure you guys know, is that you take some of those correspondences and then you translate them into a ritual, an altar, or a spell. Okay. So now let's talk about where the Mayan tradition comes, and also shamanism. Okay, give me 1 second. I'm going to stop my video for a second. Just sorry about that. Just 1 second. Sorry about that. I hope that you can see me again. I have this dental treatment called Invisalign. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. And it's basically like plastic retainers in your teeth, but it's very hard to talk to them. So sometimes I forget to take them out before my classes, and then I have to stop the video so that I can go back to teach the class without them. So system-based Imbolc. I don't know if you may or may not have heard this before. I don't know if you are just starting your journey into magic, or if you've been on the journey for a really long time. But in our tradition, in the brujeria / Mayan shamanism tradition, each of the seasons has an elemental that is assigned to it. In the case of Imbolc, which is connected to the winter, in our tradition is assigned to the emotional system. This is the time when we are processing emotions. This is the time when we're feeling anything that has to do with the emotional system. It is also connected to fire in a way, but not the fire elemental per se, but more like the inner fire. So it has a lot to do with the sacral chakra. It has a lot to do with the solar plexus. we start celebrating Imbolc or the midwinter in February 1st. In the spring, in my tradition, the spring is a mental system, which is associated with air. The summer is associated with fire, which is the spiritual system or sexual system and pleasure system. And then the fall, it's associated with earth system or the body system. And when we are living a life of magic, which you guys all are doing because you're part of Lewis's Coven, living a life of magic, really what it means is that we are balancing our activities or rituals or spells or ways of living based on the wheel of the year. We're balancing our everyday lives as well as our quarterly activities and our monthly activities and even our daily activities to fit them in the energies that are coming with the wheel of the year. This means that, for example, if you believe that winter is associated with a emotional system, that you're gonna do all your creativity processing, not creativity, sorry, your emotional processing, all your shadow work, you're gonna be doing it on the winter. You're gonna be doing all your thinking, all your strategizing, but like mental strategizing, you're gonna do it on the spring. It means that anything that has to do with connecting with spirit, anything that has to do with awakening your passion, your pleasure, you're going to be doing it on the summer. And anything that has to do with structures, with systems, with creation, with roots, with earthing, with grounding, you are going to be doing that on the fall. So I will just invite you. I don't know if you guys are following the Wiccan tradition or are you following any kind of like what type of witchcraft you're following. But I will just invite you to incorporate whatever the connection to the system is into your life. Actually, let me ask, what do you guys practice, Luis?
This is so interesting. I do a lot of folk magic, a lot of but my practice is based inherently on where I am and in the land and the West Country of England, and my sort of ancestral links to this area. And it's very much informed by my environment. And I've never really sort of been attached to the Wiccan side of things. That's never really been something that's featured heavily in my practice. Even though that was all the sort of information that I could get back in the 90s, back when I first started trying to explore, that's all you could get hold of was Wiccan books. But I love this way of actually sectioning out the year and using it in terms of using it as a way to inform how you address yourself. And like this, it makes complete sense now that you sort of lay it out like this, like the emotional system in the winter when you're really doing lots of shadow work, and then you move forward into spring, and then that's a time for kind of laying action plans down, and then in the summer you really kind of like ramp up that energy and use the spiritual side of things, and then in the autumn you just ground yourself down from coming up so high. I just love it. I think this is brilliant. I really connect with that. I don't know about anybody else. Does anybody else in the chat feel that way? I really like that system as a way of connecting with the seasons, and it's not something I've seen before.
So Peggy is saying that she followed the cycles of nature as her guide. So you may also feel, Peggy, that this fits in a way because the winter is a time where in the earth we kind of like reclude and go back to ourselves, and then we start coming out of our cocoon in the spring. Does that make sense? Absolutely. Okay, good. And then Sarah's saying, I'm a green witch and I follow the seasonal system. Winter is a time for regroup. Spring is a time to plant seeds. Summer is growing and bloom, and fall is a time to bless the harvest and celebrate with the family. And then Rebecca is saying that for her, the spring is also creative. Okay, awesome. Yeah, and there's a lot of the mental system is associated with creativity a lot. So that is also connected. I feel like the creativity that is connected to the winter system / water / emotional in my tradition is more of the creativity that starts coming when we're cleansing. because we got to go and cleanse house first, including our emotions and our energies. And then that starts making space for everything that we're creating. Love it. Thank you. Thank you all for sharing. Awesome. Okay. So how is this associated with the inner fire? We were talking about Imbolc, right? And about the fact that this class is about the fires of Imbolc, right? And we're talking about the wheel of the year and about the seasonality of it and the system. So in my tradition, we use this time to use the spirit of fire, but also the inner fire to create certain energies, certain feelings, certain sensations. And I want to teach you today a technique that you're going to be able to do like right away. You're going to get a benefit from it right away today, but that you can also take for any kind of season, for any kind of elemental, for any kind of time, just to make your life better. One of the main points of us practicing magic and awakening our power is that we want to be there living a beautiful life. Witches are not meant to be living a life of struggle. We're meant to be living a life of abundance, a life of joy, a life of creativity, a life of dance, a life of pleasure, just a life of fun, right? And we have all these tools that when we say yes to our magic, those tools can come and help us heal, can help us feel more whole, can help us be more connected to spirit and more connected to the earth. And I'm sure that at this point you've heard of the chakras, and the chakras is more of a Hindu tradition, although we also have them on Mayan shamanism. On Mayan shamanism, we have certain points of healing that are the chakra. We actually have 13 points. So we have the chakras, and then we have certain other points of healing that we use of activation when we're trying to cleanse our energy field and when we're trying to activate certain energies for our body. In the case of Imbolc, this is a time, this midwinter is a time that is connected, sorry, to the solar plexus or the emotional system. And it's also connected to the sacral chakra because of the inner fire, the passion, and a little bit of the creativity. And as we were saying, winter is more of a time to kind of like reclude and think and process, but we're coming closer to the spring. And I don't know where you guys are in the world, but here where I am, it seriously feels like it's spring already. Like we've been like praying for snow and it just hasn't come because where we are in the world, right, with global warming and so on, and we don't really have snow right now. So we are more of the energy of spring-ish, even if we don't want it, because that's how the earth feels. So we're going to work also with that creativity. And then within the witches energy systems, this isn't my tradition, but I invite you to process it and invite it for you too, if it feels right. Because as I said, my tradition is not a closed practice. Anybody is invited to practice it, because what it does is that it helps you with your connection with spirit and the earth. And in my tradition, we believe that when we come to the world, we come with this strong connection to the source being the universe, the goddess, the Buddha, the Allah, whatever you call it, whatever name you give to that divine presence, with that divine intelligence. We have this connection to the source. And then we also have this connection to the earth. When we are balanced, when we with our connection to the earth, we feel grounded, we feel centered, we feel calm, we feel abundant, we feel in our body, and we honor the planet. And then, of course, when we are not balanced into that connection, then we feel all over the place. So one of the centers that it is important to always mention when we're doing some work of incorporating the seasons and the systems in our body is to remember of those energy centers and remember how they affect us in a way or other. And then, of course, we have the system of the auric field, the little cocoon of energy that surrounds us. And because my practices are so connected with shamanism, so it's kind of like intertwined of witchcraft / shamanism / healing, a little bit of everything. I believe, honestly, that at the end, everything is the same. It just has different names and different labels. But we also honor that cocoon of energy that surrounds us. We also prioritize keeping our field cleansed. We prioritize our spiritual maintenance. We prioritize our spiritual baths or spiritual cleansing in any way that you prefer. Okay, so do we have any questions right now before we go into our exercise? Let's see, stop the share and see how we're feeling or where we are at. Do we have any questions or comments or feedback?
I'm really enjoying this so far. I don't know about anybody else, but it's given me some really good ways of thinking about the coming seasons and how I can actually use them in a different way this year, rather than thinking about it as I try and do everything all at once, you know. So to actually break it down into sections that's really helpful for me. So thank you very much for sharing that.
Thank you. Anybody else? Questions or comments or anything else? Yeah, go ahead.
So
Hi, Sarah.
I'm like strange, and I will we be able to have the PowerPoint or like a PDF version, because I like to process and then think about it and then write. Is that possible?
Yes, Luisa has the presentation already. And you have my permission to share it to whoever wants to have it, if that helps you. Also, at the end, there is a QR code that is going to download a workbook that has the ritual as well as a recipe and a spell that will help you for Imbolc. So that will also give you some extra.
Thank you, Wendy. I'll send that out after the workshop today, or if not today.
It's okay.
Into bed,
there is the screen, like there is the QR code, so you guys can just like kind of like snap it there, and I'll be sure that I can also kind of like probably I can attach the presentation to that same file, so if that's easy for you.
Wow,
I get it. I'm a mother, and we always have a lot going on.
That's so advanced. How do you even do those? Thank you very much. That's very helpful.
Yeah. Okay, so if we don't have any other questions, I'm gonna go and show you a quick spell / ritual / exercise that we can all use to have more magic. Yeah, and then somebody's saying, I agree with the connections I have had in my garden, and I feel so grounded. So important to be grounded, right? So important. Okay, so I'm gonna bring these now back.
Does it show that it's still recording on your screen?
It is still recording, yes.
Okay, cool. I don't know why it doesn't say it on one, but yeah. Oh, yes, it does. There we go.
That is still recording. And what we're gonna do today is just a bit of a quick inner fire activation, and we are going to focus on the sacral chakra, also known as the sex chakra. I was actually trained as calling it sex chakra, but I call it more sacral chakra now, because when I was doing my Facebook advertising for my workshops, I started to get banned because Facebook got offended by my words. So now it's just sacral chakra and everything, but it's the exact same thing. And what we're going to do is that we are going to be focusing on awakening the inner fire. What this is going to be doing for you is that it's going to be, oops, sorry. There, I was just looking at the chat. It's going to be releasing some emotions, but it's going to do it in a way that is safe, that is grounded, that it's not going to be too much. And it's also going to start reactivating a little bit of your creativity, a little bit of your drive for life, a little bit of that inner fire that drives us. It is still winter. We're still in rest. We're still in that cocoon, but also we start preparing for the spring. So this exercise kind of gives you a little bit of a boost of energy so that you can continue to go until we hit spring and we hit full creativity and full fertility and full awakening of core magic. And just if you have any questions, let me know on the chat. I'm monitoring the chat over here. And this is called inner fire activation. And this technique can be used for all the chakras. So it's not just for the sacral chakra, it's for all the chakras. Although we're just going to focus with one chakra today. Otherwise, this will take more than 45 minutes. But I invite you to take this practice and to incorporate it into your daily magic if it feels right, or your weekly magic, monthly magic, quarterly magic, just so that you can again, like recognize the fire that lives within and that you activate the energies in your energy systems. Okay, so what we're going to do first, and you can do these with eyes open or closed, whatever feels right for you. And we are going to do a bit of maybe 5 or 10 minutes guided exercise for that awakening of the inner fire. I am not going to be touching your energy fields at all. This is going to be you and your own healing and your own magic, just so you know that boundary. And it is completely guided, and you can completely say no to any of the exercise at any given time. You have complete control in your energy systems, and you have complete control in your boundaries. It is important to do this, and it's almost like casting a circle of protection without necessarily calling the elementals and everything else. We're just simply stating, I have control over my energy, I have control over my boundaries, and nothing that I don't invite is welcome. Okay. So what I'm going to invite you to do is that I'm going to invite you to first do a very quick grounding. The way that this is going to work is that we are going to imagine that a cord of energy, a cord of light comes from our root chakra, from the bottom of our spine, and goes and connects into the earth. There's like a little bit of a rope or a line that comes to the earth. You may want to do it with your eyes open, or it may be easier for you if you imagine this with your eyes closed. So it's completely optional. So I invite you to feel, sense, and visualize that from the root chakra, from the bottom of your spine, you have a cord of energy that comes first to your hips, to your legs, to your knees, and it goes all the way down to your ankles. And then it goes to your feet, to all your toes, to the bottom of your feet. And then it continues growing and growing and growing all the way to the center of the earth. And I invite you to feel, sense, and visualize that that connection starts making you one with the ground, making you one with the earth, making you one with the center of the planet. And depending on how Mama Earth is feeling today, she may even be showing you the crystals that exist in the center of the earth. And if that's the case, then I invite you to ask for her permission to allow you to connect this cord of energy into her crystals. And if for some reason today she doesn't show you the crystals, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Just imagine that you connect to the earth. And imagine that your legs start feeling heavy and grounded and connected and being one to the earth. Now, I want to invite you to imagine, feel, sense, and visualize that that same core stays connected to the earth, and then it splits. And when this core becomes two cords, one stays connected to the earth, and another one starts coming back into your feet, to the bottom of your feet, to your toes, to your ankles, to your knees, all the way to your hips, to your root chakra, to your sacral chakra, to your solar plexus, your center of emotions, a little bit over the belly button, to your heart, to your throat, to your eyes, your ears, your third eye, which is in the middle of the forehead, in to the top of your head, also known as crown chakra. And then we imagine, feel, sense, and visualize that that core continues to go all the way to the center of the galaxy, to the source, to the God, the goddess, the Buddha, the Allah, whatever you call it. And imagine, feel, sense, and visualize that that cord of energy goes higher and higher and higher and higher until it connects to the universe, until it connects to the galaxy. And if you were to see your body from outside your body, you will see that you are in perfect alignment with the earth, and perfect alignment with the source. One with the earth, one with the source. Good, very good. This technique is called grounding and reconnecting, and you are welcome to do it at any given time that you want to feel more connected to the source and more connected to the earth. Now, I want to invite you to bring your attention to your sacral chakra, your sex chakra, your second chakra. And I want to invite you to feel, sense, and visualize that you ask this point of energy in your body, that you ask your sacral chakra to expel and release any stagnant energies that you no longer need. Any energetic contamination that may be connected to depleting your inner fire. You want to let go of that. And you can imagine, feel, sense, and visualize that stagnation and contamination of energy in your sacral chakra may be going back to the earth and transmuting into the earth power. Or you may imagine that it goes back to the sky, to the god, the goddess, and it transmutes into love. But just imagine, feel, sense, and visualize that you're asking your sacral chakra to release what you no longer need. Release, release, release. And because you are in this perfect connection to the earth and this perfect connection to the source, your chakra, your point of energy, is going to be very responsive. Good. Very good. And now I just invite you to take a few more seconds to continue to ask your sacral chakra to release any kind of a stagnation of energy or energy that you no longer need. Release, release, release. You can even thank your sacral chakra, your point of energy. Thank you for allowing me to release today what no longer serves me. Thank you for allowing me to let go of this energy that no longer serves me. Now I invite you to imagine that you are going to start asking your sacral chakra, your second chakra, to awaken the inner fire, to awaken the fire that lives within, to awaken the fire that may have needed some additional ignition, but it wasn't happening because you had some stagnant energies. So I invite you to feel, sense, and visualize and give yourself permission to awaken the inner fire that exists in your sacral chakra. And if you feel like it today, I invite you to chant the following. I reactivate my inner fire in all the spaces, in all the times, in all the frequencies. So be it, or even better. So be it, or even better. So be it, or even better. And you may even feel there a little bit of like steam moving on in there in that spot of energy. Let's do it again. I reactivate my inner fire in all the spaces, in all the times, in all the frequencies. So be it, or even better. So be it, or even better. So be it, or even better. And then one more time. I reactivate my fire my inner fire in all the spaces, in all the times, in all the frequencies, in all the places that I have existed in the past, in the present, in the future, and in multiple dimensions. So be it, or even better, so be it, or even better, so be it, or even better. Now just give yourself permission to let those new energies sink in. And if you're feeling creative and adventurous and curious, you can even invite that inner fire that you have awakened to expand within your entire body, within your entire field, within all your chakras, just to have a little bit more of that inner fire activated and awakened within yourself. The mental, the physical, the emotional, and the spiritual self. And this is a permanent activation. If for some reason you feel like you have to come back and do it, you'll have the presentation, so you can just read it again, or you have the recording and you can take it again at any given time, as many times as you want. Good. Nice. So let's just do a quick check-in. How are we feeling?
Good. That was really powerful. I don't know how everybody else felt, but I really enjoyed that.
Good. Oh, is the baby asleep now?
Nearly, he's getting there. He's putting
Oh.
up quite a fight, but I think he found that quite relaxing as well.
Any questions or comments about this? Soul felt the fire. And it was opening and beautiful. Awesome. Just be gentle with yourself with some energy healing in a way, right? So every time that we go through this, we want to be sure that we're being gentle with ourselves and drinking a lot of water. And activations like this tend to be very potent when we are close to the seasonal magic. I like to do things like this, specifically equinoxes and solstices. Those are like my favorites because I was raised celebrating those, but also the in-betweens like Imbolc and others are also very good times for this. Awesome. Okay, let's get going. Almost done for the day. I think I have the wrong page. Hold on, I was sharing something else. There. Share. Okay. And then there is, if you want to use a little more of what is like traditional witchcraft, although I think that there's nothing traditional really. There's also here the description of a quick spell. All that you're gonna need, it's a white candle, a burning dish, and a paper and a pen. And this quick spell is gonna take you 3 minutes, 5 minutes. Basically, what you have to do is just write in a paper. The instructions are in the workbook. So if you don't know the workbook, it's gonna give you all this. But basically, what you have to do is just simply write with the intention of release anything that no longer serves you. And this can be people, situations, experiences, circumstances, whatever it is. Put it in a piece of paper, read it out loud, and then give yourself permission to release it and say, I release you. And after you do that, imagine that you're cutting the cords from whatever it is that you're releasing. All the details are on the workbook, but just simply just release. Use the spirit of fire. And I'm using specifically here a white candle because white is one of the connections to Imbolc. But if you have a connection to a different color, that's okay too. That is the beauty about magic, that we can be very creative and that we can give ourselves permission to explore and experience and just see what works for us, because we are all different and we all have our own magic and we all have our own rituals and our own preferences depending on our backgrounds, right? So just explore whatever feels right for you. And then you can download the workbook here. So here's the QR code. You can just, grab your phone and click it in there. There is also the website, which is the workbook. And what the workbook is going to give you is that it's going to give you a recipe for Imbolc. It's also going to give you the spell, like more details of the spell. And it's also going to give you a little bit more of the traditional explanation of what Imbolc is. I think one of the traditional things that we associate with Imbolc is the Bridget cross, which I have here. Sorry, one here. I have mine. I bought this in a really cute Irish shop that is nearby my house. I haven't put it on the door yet, but I'm gonna do that. But that's kind of like one of the most traditional ways of celebrating. But there is many ways to celebrate. So Louisa has the I don't know what's the right pronunciation there. She has the slides, so you can get that from there too.
Yes. Yeah, and I can send out all of the other stuff afterwards as well. Yeah, and thank you so very much. That was absolutely brilliant. Does anybody have any questions for Wendy before we call it a day? I really, really enjoyed that. And I keep thinking I mean, we have quite a lot of people on the podcast at the moment, and I keep thinking I really want to hear more from you. So will you come on our podcast as well?
Oh, I would love it. I love podcasts.
To have you on there. I just feel like I could listen to you all day.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure to connect. My email is wendy@bruja.us, or you can find my team at support@bruja.us, and we're here to serve you. We're here to help. Whatever it is that we can do to support you with awakening magic. That's our mission.